All right. Welcome everyone to the Connecticut Green Bank, and we are very excited to have you all here. So thank you very much, and I will pass it to Peter.
Good morning, everyone. I'm really happy to see you here. It's okay. Apologies for our tech difficulties this morning. Okay, that should be better. So so we have so far we have a small group. So I think I have some prepared slides, but also we can sort of make this relevant to you all and what questions you have. But thank you so much, Kat, for making some time and bringing your community together to talk about what the Green Bank does. So I guess I'd love it if you all, I see we've got Mark, Andrew, Carl, and Larry. If you all would put in the chat maybe a little bit of just a sentence or a couple words about kind of what your interest is, what brought you to this talk, just so we can kind of try to steer the conversation towards some of those topics. I'm going to talk about a couple different things that the Green Bank does in our residential programs, our commercial programs, and some of our investment programs. But especially since we have a small group, I'm happy to go off on more specific tangents, or if there's things that people are more interested than others, we can spend more time on that and make it more sort of conversational. But if maybe we'll start. Kat, if you can go to the next slide, or is there a clicker thing?
The mouse there.
Oh, the mouse. Okay.
So if people don't know how to mute themselves, feel free to click the unmute button on the bottom of your screen if you need to chat or if you want to join the conversation.
So this is my overall agenda. I'll just introduce the Green Bank at a high level, kind of who we are, what we do, and why. And then I've kind of organized the conversation or the materials into home solutions, building solutions, and investment solutions. And a couple different programs to do in each. So I see Mark mentioned looking to do an air-to-water heat pump with solar on a primary residence, and also looking to install solar on rental properties to help them offset costs. Thank you, Mark. We can get into that a little bit. And then Larry, commercial real estate broker. I'd like to keep clients appraised of relevant opportunities. Fantastic. Were there any other? Okay, great. So we're going to start with just a quick intro to the Green Bank. We're actually the first Green Bank. You might have heard in the Inflation Reduction Act that was recently passed and signed into law at the federal level that there's a plan to create a national Green Bank, but the Connecticut Green Bank is really the model for this. And the idea is that, we know that, in Connecticut especially, we have pretty aggressive energy and emissions reductions goals, but there aren't really enough grants for everyone to just insulate their home or buy an electric vehicle. And so we're really trying to confront our emissions and our climate challenge by increasing the capital that's available in ways that are accessible to everyone across the state. That is our goal. I'm working towards that. And as you can see, also our vision is really that our environmental mission, our climate mission, really has to do with humanity and the communities we're a part of. And a little bit more about kind of the nuts and bolts of who we are. We are created by Connecticut law. So we really exist to help the legislature and the governor fulfill climate and economic development goals. And our focus is really on financing. We do run some incentive programs, but we finance mainly clean energy. Giving you an example of what that might be from, solar system, could be energy efficiency. And we also have recently, our sort of mandate, our charter has been included to include environmental infrastructure, which that's a very new area for us. We're still in the process of building that team up, but it could be anything, like as it says there, anything from helping a municipality with their wastewater system to climate resilience or adaptation work in cities. And overall, part of what we're trying to do is take small amounts of public money and bring private dollars into the market. So realizing that we do need a mix of money to get to the level of investment we need to get to in clean energy. And some of the ways we're supported, we do get some money through electric ratepayer bills. We get some proceeds from something called the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which are essentially carbon credits. We do some, and we're as a quasi-public agency, where we can get different kinds of money. We're a little more flexible than a state agency. So we also can win, sometimes we win competitive grants. And as you'll learn later, we also issue green bonds, which is a kind of a fun new way that we're trying to democratize access to the clean energy industry. So that's a little bit about who we are. I think I'll pause just to, oh wait, I was going to say one more thing, but I see there's more in the chat. Let me see. So Carl, here to learn what the Green Bank is all about. Great, welcome Carl. And Andrew puts together comprehensive energy projects and works closely with utilities for necessary incentives, looking to learn more about the Green Bank and how it may benefit my customers. Fantastic. Andrew, I hope you'll also, if you're sort of already in this world, I hope you'll share, stories and ask questions and be a part of the conversation as well. So, so this is how we kind of organize our work. We have, similar to the way the slide deck is presented, we have home solutions, building solutions, investments, and then the last one I'm not going to talk about as much, but it's community solutions. But we do a lot of work with municipalities to help them figure out how to do, especially smaller municipalities who have less capacity, to help them figure out how to do solar and other things like that. So I think we'll jump into home solutions first. And I want to talk about a couple of programs. And I mean, I would also say there's a ton of programs in Connecticut. These are just the ones that we offer. I know there's incentives and financing through Eversource and UI. There's now federal tax credits for energy efficiency and renewable energy. So there's a lot in the market that you can take advantage of. But today we'll be talking mainly about just the Green Bank products. So we have both the energy storage solutions and the Smart E-Loan. So one of the things about, as you all probably have noticed, climate's getting more erratic, and we're seeing, just in Connecticut, we've had major storms, we've had droughts, we've had thousands of people without power after storms. I noticed that Carl said he can't see the full screen. I'm not sure why that is. So Carl, we're not sure why you can't see the full screen on our end. It looks like it's taking up the whole screen, so I'm not exactly sure what to do about that. Getting back to energy storage solutions program, knowing that climate is more erratic, we also know that in Connecticut, the electric grid is really an amazing system because everybody is provided electricity at the moment they need it, and that takes a lot of coordination, a lot of effort. But when you're looking at this picture, you're seeing the way over the course of the day on the bottom where it goes from 1 a.m. to 12 a.m. And then on the vertical axis, you're seeing that it's electricity demand. You have this stacking of fuel sources, of energy sources that power companies use. And, you have your baseload nuclear, which is pretty low in terms of emissions. And then you have natural gas plants. But then at that time of day and when that blue line peaks around 6 o'clock, especially in the summer, when everyone gets home and turns on their appliances and, air conditioners, all those types of things, those fast peaking power plants are often fossil fuel plants. are expensive and are expensive to run and create a lot of carbon emissions. So part of what Connecticut is trying to do, is help people. Is help people think about how as a state we could work to flatten out that curve so that it's not as expensive to and not as high emissions to meet the power needs throughout the day, especially in the summer. So what we have now, the energy storage program, is basically a battery storage program. So both anyone from a homeowner to a large industrial facility or a municipality can access incentives for battery storage. And this means that, if we have enough people who are storing energy and using it, that the utilities can use it during those peak hours where that curve was really getting high, then it means we don't have to use as much expensive, dirty peaker plants during those times. So this is a program we're running in tandem with UI and Eversource, and it's an incentive program. For both residential and commercial customers, we encourage people to go to energystoragect.com. You do have to be, there are a list of certified contractors. Sometimes a lot of the solar contractors will sell solar and storage together as a package. But we recommend people start to really think about, what are the devices in the home, such as air conditioners, HVAC equipment, other sort of devices that have larger draws of power. You can even get a home energy savings assessment through utility companies to help with this. And if you go to that link, you'll see that you can find a list of certified contractors, because there are approved contractors and approved technologies under this program. So the utilities are trying to make sure, and we're trying to help them to make sure that this program is run through those contractors and those technologies. One, if you are, okay, yes. So this would be true for both commercial and industrial customers and residential customers. Contractors can also get involved in this program. So we have certain products. These are all on number 2. These are all battery products that are already approved under the program. There's also a process to become an eligible contractor if you or someone might be in this business and want to get involved. And I think that maybe I'll stop to see if there's questions about that, but I also want to say this is one of the things about when you're thinking about the Green Bank and sort of what we do. We do a lot of work with direct facing lending with customers, but we also do a lot of work with contractors. So a lot of our efforts are spent trying to make sure that we're working with, solar contractors, battery contractors, engineers, architects on some of our lending programs to make sure that they can take advantage of it so that they can use our products to help, build their business and develop projects and sell projects, but also we are working a lot directly with customers as well. So wanted to mention that quickly. Videos overlaid on the slides. Okay. So can we move that? Or?
Yeah, Tony already moved.
Oh, great. Okay. So let me see. Are there any questions about the battery storage program so far? Just hop in the chat or raise your hand. We'll so that we can hear from you.
Yeah, feel free to unmute yourself if you want.
Okay. Well, I will. Yeah, I'll keep going, but just jump in if you need to or if you want to. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is something we call the Smart E-loan, and it's essentially, it's unsecured financing for clean energy projects in your house. The rates obviously are flexible. I mean, they vary based on term. We do work. This is a product where we work with local lenders and local contractors So we don't actually make loans directly, but we help our lending partners with their risk and their exposure on the loans. There's one thing about a green bank. We're the first green bank, but this is consistent with the green bank model, where we're sort of trying to find places where maybe actors who are already in the market are unfamiliar or have or see some risks about doing a certain kind of transaction. So if we go to a local bank or credit union and say, hey, why aren't you making HVAC loans for heat pumps? And they say, well, we don't understand the risk profile. And then someone like a green bank can say, well, we can be more patient with our capital. So how about we help you remove some of the risks that you have a sort of regular risk profile for your loan? And that's really what we do in the Smarty loan. And this is a really flexible loan in terms of what it can cover. There's a list of 40+ home improvements. It can be anything from a battery to solar to heat pump to insulation. And you can obviously pair it with the incentives through the utility company. This is actually I just cut and pasted this from our website, but this is how you could get started. If you go, the link at the bottom is the actual link to the description of the program. You can also just email smarty@connecticutgreenbank.com, or you can call that number and you'll talk to one of my colleagues, Ralph, or I can't remember the other person's name, but they'll actually answer the phone or the email, and you can just ask them the most specific question you have, or you could just say, how do I get started? You can also go to this link and look at the contractors who are registered under the program. You can look at the lenders if you want to get pre-approved for a Smarty loan. So it's pretty, there's multiple entry points to get started talking about it. We're really excited about the option to just open up capital for homeowners. And Smarty is really for 1 to 4 unit buildings. Okay. So I think we're going to transition a little bit and talk about our building solutions program. And this is really more for commercial and industrial buildings, residential buildings that are 5+ units. This is more the area I work on a day-to-day basis, helping folks get understand our programs, get in line for them. Give me a time check. I can't quite see. It's 8:57. Okay. So first, we're going to talk about CPACE. And CPACE is a financing mechanism, essentially, but it's also a program. It's been around for about 8 years, and it stands for Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy. And it sounds like a mouthful, but it's really pretty straightforward. It's for commercial properties, and that includes multifamily of 5+ units. That's the commercial part. The assessed part is it is secured with an assessment on the property. So it's very similar to like a sewer assessment or some other kind of public benefit assessment that a town might place on a property. And then to clean energy, it's because it's for clean energy programs or for clean energy measures. So it's commercial property assessed clean energy. It's low cost, long term. We can go out to 25 years in some cases. It's mortgage style amortization, and the rates are usually in the 5 to 6% range. And the real benefit is, no upfront, you don't have to come out of pocket, basically. There's no equity required. We know that the loans will pay for themselves over their lifetime. And what's nice also in the commercial real estate market, if you're working with a customer, or if you own a building and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to replace this system and go to a heat pump or something, but I'm not going to own the building for more than another 3 years. You can still access the program because the assessment that secured the CPACE assessment will stay on the property, which means that when you sell it, the new owner can take on that assessment, but they will also take on the lower energy bill. So they'll take on the new owner will take on an improved building with lower operating costs and just continue to pay back the assessment, and you can you're free from that in the transaction. So that's at a high level the way CPACE works. Just like a couple of the highlights that we talked about. If you if access to capital is an issue, you can get 100% of the costs up front up to 25 years. Like we said, the repayment obligation for the assessments transfers at sale. We also have a requirement that the projects basically pay for themselves over their useful life. So in other words, if you, and this is because this is written into the law that created the program, but also we don't want borrowers to get in over their heads to say, okay, I'm going to take out this really expensive, I'm going to buy this really expensive boiler with this loan, but then I'm not going to see enough cash flow from it and get in sort of over their heads. So the example is if you buy a new HVAC system that costs, $1 million or something, then at the end of that term, we need to be able to project that at the end of the useful life, of the equipment, you will have saved $1,001. So it needs to have this positive payback, and our loans are usually positive cash flow in year one. And you can also pass savings and costs through to tenants, to commercial tenants through the lease agreements. And we also, as I said, we offer this we call it a technical underwriting, but we offer this level of I would say, like dotting the I's and crossing the T's to make sure that your contractor or your energy engineer's projections about how the project will pay back is consistent with industry practices and common sense. So just a little more about CPACE. It's really our biggest commercial program. It works for, this is actually all the percentage of total projects broken down by building type. So it really does work for anyone. And we'll do a CPACE project as small as $30,000. That's, we don't love doing those because it's not the most efficient use of our time and capital, but we want to make sure everyone has access. And we'll also, the biggest CPACE project in Connecticut to date has been about a little under 14 million. So it really can be a range. Let me stop there to see if there's questions about CPACE before I jump into the new construction, which is a little different. Does anyone have any questions or thoughts about CPACE? Okay. So the CPACE program, the Green Bank has been administering the program. We work with a group of lenders. We also make loans directly, often for underserved parts of the market that some of the commercial lenders don't really want to work with. There have been about 200 and almost 300 loans now over the last few years. So it's a really fast growing program with, in the last 2 years, we started looking at new construction. And so this is really relevant for folks who are doing either ground up new construction or repositioning, gut rehab of old properties. Oh, great. Mark, you would contact me. We would talk about it. So my contact information is at the end of the slide. And then also if you want to jump in with specific or any kind of question you want now, you're welcome to.
Okay, thank you. I'll reach out.
But so I'll keep going unless we hear from you, Mark. The idea about new construction financing is the slide here is just showing you a developer thinking about how are they going to put the capital stack together. Basically, what are the sources of financing and equity that they're going to use to build something new? And we're suggesting that in the middle, here's the capital stack where you have some, probably a mortgage from a lender that takes up the majority of the cost, and then there's some other kinds of equity and maybe some other kind of debt. Sometimes they call it mezzanine debt in sort of commercial real estate circles, development circles. What we're proposing is, hey, CPACE is not going to compete with a senior lender, but it's probably cheaper than some of your equity or mezzanine debt. So if you use CPACE, you can lower your overall cost of capital and increase the return. On the other hand, on the right-hand column, you could just, because it's a little bit cheaper debt, you could just add some, make your pool of money bigger. So this is sort of in theory how it works. And what we're basically asking people to do in return for that cheaper capital is to show that the project is more efficient than code. And so in this case, we ask the developers to present a whole building model, or if it's a residential building, we can do a HERS rating, and then they're eligible for up to 35% of almost all the construction costs that can be accessed at this cheaper interest rate under the CPACE program. And you can even get a little more money if you do some of these bonus technologies that are, really trying to support the state's movement towards decarbonization, electrification. So battery storage, electric vehicle chargers, heat pumps, solar PV, all these things can make the loan, can unlock more capital into the CPACE program. So definitely keep CPACE for new construction in mind. And it's becoming, I think, more common for new developers. Okay. So now we'll talk a little bit about, we're going to kind of pivot into a couple of our solar financing products. And these are really good products for, CPACE is a really good option if you want to buy and own a solar system. CPACE is just access to capital. And you can take advantage of the tax benefits of ownership of solar, 30% tax credit off the top from the federal government. You can claim depreciation on the asset. There's all kinds of good things that come with ownership of solar, but there's some cases where, you might not want to own a solar system. You might not want to be responsible for maintenance, for repair, that sort of thing. And so we have a couple of options. We have a solar roof lease and a power purchase agreement that are a little simpler to implement. And so the roof lease essentially is the green bank comes in, builds a solar system at no upfront cost to the building owner or the organization, if it's a nonprofit who owns the building, and then basically pays that organization an agreed upon fee for a 20-year term to use their roof. So there's no, there's an additional meter installed in the building. So this doesn't actually offset the building's energy usage, but the green bank sells that power directly back to the utility company through something that they call the buy all tariff, which is an incentive program through UI and Eversource, where they'll compensate building owners for creating clean energy at their building through solar PV mainly. And so this is a pretty simple project, a pretty simple design. It does not require the same kind of underwriting that a CPACE loan would, and it's essentially just a lease agreement. So this is one way that people can go solar and not have to own a solar system. Next slide. So some of the customers we've seen looking at solar roof leases are, for multifamily properties, especially those that might have, kind of institutional financing, like a HUD mortgage, which, or tax credit investors, where if you were trying to get a CPACE loan and you would need lenders to consent to that CPACE loan, you would never get that. So looking at a roof lease is much more is more feasible, just in terms of getting the project done. And another option is the power purchase agreement. And the power purchase agreement is similar to the lease, except in this case, the green bank, again, builds a solar system. And I should say, I didn't mention this under the lease. It's the same as the lease and the PPA, that the green bank is then responsible for maintenance, repairs. If it's not sunny for 60 days in a row and the solar system isn't creating as much power, the building owner is still getting benefit from the green bank. Like our lease payment in the roof lease doesn't depend on how much the sun is shining or if one of the inverters on the system is broken and we don't find it for a week or something, you're still getting paid a flat amount. So it's pretty low risk in that environment for the customer. PPA, very similarly, we're agreeing to build a solar system. We're dealing with the maintenance and the operations, preventative maintenance, repairs, and we're basically offering you, hey, buy a kilowatt from us at a cheaper price for 20 years. You know, if power rates go up, which they seem to be over, the trend is over time that they're going up, then you're basically locking in a cheaper rate for electricity now, and sort of managing that risk in the future. And what we can do a lot of times, if people have projects where they say, okay, we'd like to explore solar at this building, we're able to sort of compare, work with vendors and help you compare, hey, how would it look if I owned it? What if I wanted to do a power purchase agreement? What about a lease? Like, what are the sort of pros and cons? How would these pencil out? What would the overall net benefit be in terms of the actual dollars? So we can also kind of get into those discussions with you and help you sort out what the right decision is for you. You'll also run into, if you start calling around and you talk to solar contractors, a lot of them will work with, they might have a power purchase agreement and a roof lease themselves. We're not the only people who offer this. And there are other, C-PACE lenders. Most of them are not doing projects on the smaller side, but so should say that don't be confused if these are not products unique to the Green Bank. So just to kind of summary of the PPA, again, like the lease, there's no upfront cost. You can lock in that low electricity rate. If you don't have the kind of maintenance team at a building who wants to deal with the solar system, you don't have to worry about that. And especially for businesses that want to use their capital or their lines of credit for other, for growing their business or for a rainy day, that's this is a good solution for that. Let's see what's next. So eligible customer is very similar to the roof lease, and it's a 20-year agreement. I won't dwell on this because I know you're sending the slides out. And I put this in. I don't think I'm going to go over this slide in a lot of detail unless folks have specific questions, but this will be in the deck that we send out. But just, you can sort of think about, this is just a way for you to start thinking about, the differences between the lease and the PPA. Okay, and I wanted to add a couple of other things, and this is for our contractor partners who might be in the room, or folks you might know. We have a kind of we want to bring as many people as we can into the C-PACE program. So anyone who is who thinks, hey, I could really use a source of long-term capital to help sell projects. A lot of the solar contractors, some of the HVAC contractors, we're working with. We're doing a chiller plant and lighting replacement project with a commercial customer right now. That's like a $2 million project. So we really need all of the really good contractors across the state to kind of know about C-PACE, and we want to work with you and with them, and to make sure that that they're aware of the program and that they can use it. We do a lot of our team spends a lot of time organizing and putting on trainings for C-PACE. We're pretty hands-on. We have a small team, but we're really we're reachable, we're approachable. We're happy to talk through sort of how it works from the contractor's perspective and how it might be a benefit to you and your business. And I just added a link down there so you can sort of like read more about how contractors can get started. So this is just sort of speaking to some of the programs, some of the materials that we've created in the C-PACE program, such as we have a list of trainings, workshops, webinars, events. We have because we're a program that CPACE is a program created by legislative action, and then we have kind of updates and plans and things that guidelines that we have to write that are approved by our board. Those all are on our website, so you can understand. If you're wondering, hey, has each town has to opt into CPACE because the town actually has to place the assessment or has to agree to let us place the assessment, I should say. So you can see that if we have almost all the municipalities across the state, but you can look at a map and see, hey, is my building in a CPACE town? If not, we can always try to work with the town to, a lot of small towns, it's not like on their radar, but, if we bring them a project and say, hey, you have a property owner who really wants to make an investment and it's an economic development opportunity for them as well, then, usually we can get towns to sort of opt in. We also have marketing materials, sell sheets, case studies that contractors can use. And so that's all, and we're always trying to work with folks to see how best we can support them. Okay, I'm just going to pause and see if there's any questions. And I only have a couple more slides, so I'm hoping that you all have some questions and comments as well. But okay, so this is like the third part of our business that I'll speak about, which is our investment solutions. And so one of the things, let me go back one. That's weird. The slide didn't show up, but I will just talk about it briefly for 1 second, which is just to say that the Eversource and UI have there's a program called the Small Business Energy Advantage that offers 0% 4-year term on-bill financing. So if you have like a lighting project at a building, or this is a commercial project, obviously small business, but they'll, you can basically pay for it. It's a good solution for smaller projects because it's really, you can get approved fast. It's a 0% money, and it's for shorter term investments. And we play a role kind of behind the scenes helping invest in that loan. I don't exactly know where this slide went, but just to say that kind of another example of how we are not always at the front of, oh, here it is. Okay. It did show up. So, we're excited about being a partner on the SBA project, and a lot of our customers on the CPACE side, we often will use CPACE in tandem with the small business program, to maximize the amount of incentives and capital that a building owner can get. One of the ways that we have also raised capital to invest in the small business program is through our green bond program. We have green bonds and green Liberty notes. And the idea is these are climate verified. We're raising these funds to go directly into these local contractors, local investments in Connecticut that are going to reduce emissions. They're going to help our small businesses grow and help improve, our workforce. So we have green Liberty notes, where I think the minimum we have both bonds and Liberty notes, and the green bonds are I think the minimum investment is $5,000, which is pretty low. We've done several issuances of this, and they've been really, really successful. And they've been verified so that you actually know that there are real emissions associated with them. We also have green Liberty notes. And green Liberty notes, the idea is that really almost anyone can invest. The minimum investment is $100. We're actually having another issuance in, I think, January. Okay. Yeah, we're having another issuance in, I think, January and February. I actually own a green Liberty note right now. And it's a really stable investment, and like we said, sort of comparable to certificate deposit accounts. and we're always sort of adjusting them. So the rates have gone up as interest rates in general have gone up. So you can learn more and follow that. And it's a really great program. And we're seeing that we're seeing a lot of small denomination investments in this program, which we're really excited about, because we really want everyone to be able to participate and benefit from our local clean energy economy. And this is one way that we're doing that. And here's just a fun article from last month, so you can see. You could read about this later, but we're excited. If you really want to get into the Green Bank and everything we do and why, I've also just linked our comprehensive plan, which is something that our board approves. As a quasi-public, it's on our website. It's where everything's pretty much an open book. But you can also sort of dig into that a little more if for some reason you have the strong urge to. It's like 40 pages, but and that's our director Brian Garcia. Hugging babies, and kind of our version of what the clean energy work should look like. So I think that's like the end of my kind of formal comments. I wanted to just share my contact information, and I also am pretty open with my calendar. I have this tool, Calendly, so if people are sort of thinking about something later, or you want to reach out to me over email, or just schedule 15 minutes or half an hour with me, I'm happy to do that. So I think that's the end of what I wanted to say. But I was, happy to open the floor for questions, comments, discussions, or anything we can clarify.
Great.
And Larry says, thank you for the presentation. And also thank you all. Programs like this are only possible thanks to great funding partners. And so we love to get your feedback about how it went, what you liked, what you'd like to see more of. We're trying to offer more workshops like this and different workshops that our community is interested in. So feel free to fill out that very quick survey. That way we can find out what you want to learn more about. And we'll open the floor to questions.
Thank you for the presentation, Peter.
Mark, you want to talk?
Yes, I don't know if there's anybody speaking there or not in person. I've got a few questions. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep, we can hear you.
All right. So one, you mentioned commercial projects over 5 units. If they have, say, separate electric for all the units, how would that benefit, I guess, the owners, the tenants, if we were to do a solar project on there?
So maybe I'll just... 1 second, Mark. Okay, I'm just going to first use one of my technologies. It's slowly coming us over here. 1 second.
I can just turn my volume off here. I can just turn my volume off.
Well, figured I would turn that mic off. Get it out of the room.
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that, Mark. Is your project? Are your rents? Do you think is it like affordable housing or market rate housing? It's the first question.
Well, I don't have any programs for this building. So
Okay.
it's just market. Tenants are responsible for electric and gas. I do provide heat for the units through an oil boiler.
Okay.
So I would like to upgrade to a high efficiency gas boiler at some point as well. And if solar was an option to
Okay.
help offset costs for them, do that.
Yeah. So you could, most likely what you could do, and we could talk to some vendors about this, but under the state program, what they call the tariff program, which is like, it's not the greatest, it's not the most inspiring word, but it is essentially an incentive. It's a revenue stream. That's where, if you're in Middletown, so Eversource will, you'll apply for this incentive, and if you win it, they'll compensate you per kilowatt hour that the solar system creates. And if you do, there's an option to do a system, what we call in front of the meter. In other words, you can do it in front or behind the meter. And if you're in front of the meter, then you're not actually tied into the meters at the building. So rather than, you can basically install a second or a separate meter, and that would allow you to maximize the amount of solar you fit on the roof itself. And then that revenue, like you could finance that solar system if you needed to with a roof lease product. You could potentially also with CPACE, if you wanted financing. But I think that would probably be the way to go, because then you wouldn't be splitting up the consumption and the generation between, all the different tenant units. There are ways of like measuring the consumption of each meter in the solar system. I would defer to some of the contractors on sort of the costs and benefits of doing that. So I think it would be, looking at the building, figuring out how big a system you could fit on the roof, and then examining the economics also of, should we apply for, because the incentive will be different if you go in front or behind the meter, and it's all kind of changing because it's a new program. And then going from there, figuring out, how would this work if we did it in front of the meter? Would there be enough benefit to doing it that way, essentially?
Okay, how would I get started in that process? Are there contractors I should reach out to?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things you can do. There are folks we work with. We have a list on our website that I can send you. We also, if you were thinking about financing with us, if it was because in a lease or a PPA situation, because we're sort of the long-term owner, we're a little more selective about contractors we work with, whereas in CPACE, we're just a capital provider. So we're like, you can work with anyone you like, but on the lease and the PPA, we're a little more selective. So we have a list of folks who are already pre-approved to do those types of projects with us. So I could also kind of talk to you about, I could send you that list, and we could kind of talk about finding folks you like on that list. And then I think my perspective of the solar world is that it's very heavily regulated. It's a little confusing. As you can see, I've already had to use the word tariff, and I've had to talk about front and behind the meter. Just like you can get into it, and it's hard to. So these are contractors. These are folks who are good at understanding this, good at navigating that system for you, and also recognize that they're selling you something that you don't need. So they have to be able to show you what the benefit is, and not like they don't want to spin their wheels. They don't want you to spin your wheels. So it's usually good to just have some conversations with them up front, sort of see what seems most feasible. And then if it looks like a good project based on, them just knowing certain things, like looking at your building, is it shaded? How old is the roof? They might make a site visit and look at the electric supply. Would that need to be upgraded to have a solar system up there? All those kind of questions that would give them the baseline like, is this a good project for everyone, or are there too many roadblocks? And then they could get into, developing the project properly.
Yeah, I'm familiar with solar systems. I have one of my current primary residents, engineer in the past life. So familiar with most of the projects out there. Just kind of want to get started on the process. And like you mentioned, a lot of contractors don't know this space and it's very difficult for them. So having somebody that's done a project either for you or, in this realm that knows these specific, nuances is definitely going to be beneficial there.
Definitely. And then on the HVAC side, we can talk more about that as well. I think that the state, and I think we would like this too. People are sort of headed towards electrification. So kind of looking at heat pumps, pairing heat pumps with solar. That's kind of, I think, where people would like to head. So we could also, we could explore, kind of looking at options for HVAC replacement, and you can do things like wrap solar and HVAC into a C-PACE loan, or and we actually have one other loan that I didn't talk about, the Lime loan, which is also designed for multifamily buildings. But we could probably have a sort of sidebar conversation and talk more about what you're trying to accomplish and how we can help.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a couple of projects going on currently. That Middletown one might just be the solar lease on the roof. And then for that, I'm looking to convert the boiler from oil to gas on there. The other project is I'll call it a new construction. It was an existing single family house that they put an addition on. So the whole addition is unfinished. And that's the one we want to do the air to water heat pump with radiant in-floor heat and the solar. So kind of new construction there, and utilize, a lot of newer technologies to get the home very energy efficient, seal it up right, get the ACH down, get the right insulation in there.
Great.
But I haven't found a lot of local contractors that have done many of these retrofits and get that, efficiency ratings up there. I've got a friend who does energy efficient audits that'll go in and do a blower door test and do all that, but finding the right contractors has been difficult so far.
Yeah, and that might be something that whether the Smarty loan that I talked about is the right product for you, it might be something that we could just help thinking through that contractor pool and sort of giving you an idea like who's done certain kinds of projects, like who's really worked on those high efficient systems versus just, only the solar people, or, so feel free to reach out either to me, and I can connect you, or in the deck I had added I think the email is just like smarty@ctgreenbank.com, but it's on that page. So feel free to reach out and we'll try to help.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions?
I kind of had one about the energy sharing for the residential, the battery banks in your house. Can you limit how much, like, say I only want to use 20% of my battery capacity or something like that? Can we limit that, or they just kind of take what they need?
So I believe that in order to, there's a couple different ways that, when you say they, you mean like the Eversource. Yeah. I think that you agree to let them dispatch power at predetermined times. And I think that there's two ways that you can get incentives through the program. I think if you can get an incentive for the installation, I believe, and then also for the for letting them dispatch power. I don't think that you're able to like toggle how much they're dispatching at that time.
Okay. I was just curious, because most people, the batteries they're using for overnight offsetting or something like that.
Right. So it's, yeah.
So I'd be more than willing to help, but I don't want to run out in the middle.
Right. No, that makes sense. It's, yeah. So other questions, or not that this is the last time, you can always, obviously we're always available and we're here to help. So. All right.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to put the survey link in the chat. That way, if you guys want to fill out the survey. But other than that, thank you so much. And we hope to see you all soon.
Well, I have one more question.
Oh, sure.
So, like the sea loans and stuff like that. Can a business or a building use that for EV charger installation, or is it only solar?
Yeah.
Okay. So if they wanted to put 2 or 3 chargers in the parking lot.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have been more clear about that. That for CPACE, it is, and like clean energy loans in general. And I did neglect to mention that we can do. It's not just solar. It's, like I said, we've done HVAC, energy efficiency, and charging stations are included in that. And we don't have to show the same, like, obviously there's not going to be energy savings from electric vehicle charging. It's going to be an increase in usage, but we are able to finance them without that savings requirement. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that question. All right. Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Happy holidays.